Hezbollah army in Lebanon fired a bunch of missiles over the border into northern Israel. And Israel began firing their missiles back and destroying places in Lebanon. And in response to that, October 26, a few weeks ago, Iran launched cruise missiles into Israel. And we kind of waited what was going to happen. And Israel fired all of their missiles now back into Iran. And so now we're going, what's next? And it's just escalating. And for some of us, we believe that this is the beginning of the end. Some of us believe that Jesus is coming back, not in 2,000 years, but it could be today. We have not seen, Israel and Gaza and Iran have never gotten along, but this is the first time they're firing missiles at each other. And the issue is just one. Who owns the vineyard? Who owns that land that Gaza and Israel and Lebanon is on? And who owns that land? And that is the same question that the authorities said when Jesus came into Jerusalem as Messiah, and the people had palm branches, and they worshipped him, and they said, "The Lord has come." And the chief priests and the Pharisees and the religious leaders of the day said to Jesus, "You've got to stop this. The Romans are here. They don't want anything upsetting like this. You've got to put this out. You've got to stop this movement that's happening today on Palm Sunday." They were concerned about it. Then the first thing Jesus did when he came into Israel, he went straight to the temple, to the money changers. They're all outside the temple there, and people are coming for it. This is the week of Passover, and so people are coming, and they have to offer a sacrifice. At Passover, they have to have some blood sacrifice. Some people can only buy a pigeon. Some people buy a lamb. Some others use goats. And so they have to use the temple money. The temple money that's pressed there. They come from all over the world. So money changers make a fortune that week, exchanging coins illegally, taking advantage of people, selling these products. The temple leaders make their big money. It's like Christmas shopping at Walmart. This next couple of months, they're going to make more than they make all the rest of the year. Well, that was the temple. That was the people there, the money changers. And so the first thing Jesus did when he came into Jerusalem was throw these guys out of the temple. He made ropes, and he turned over the tables. And boy, the Pharisees and all of them, they were right there on Jesus. Who gave you the authority to do this? What right do you have to upset our money-making scheme here at the temple? And so Jesus said, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you who gave me my authority. If you'll tell me John the Baptist, who gave John the Baptist his authority to preach and baptize out of the Jordan River? And they talked about themselves, and they said, well, if we say God, then he's going to say, well, why didn't you believe him and go out and be baptized? And if we say the people are going to get upset because they think he's a prophet. So they came back together and said, well, we won't tell you. And Jesus said, then I won't tell you about my authority either. But then, what Jesus does, he's not going to tell them his authority. So what he does is tell them this parable. That's the next thing that he does. He tells this parable. And the question is, who owns this place? Who owns this temple? Who owns this city, Jerusalem? Who owns this place? And the thing that I'm excited about today is that question needs to be asked right now. Right now. Whose church is this? Well, it's our church. We just had a business meeting. And we just put money in the box. And we hired this preacher guy. And we wanted his wife, but we'll take him. It's our church. How about your life? Who owns your life? I own my life. I do what I want to do. I'm an American. I do what I want to do. Tuesday, I'm going to vote for whoever I want to vote for. And it's my life. And so that question, who owns the vineyard, is today's question. It's being asked in Israel. They're fighting with missiles and all kinds of weapons. Some of those guys I won't say this, that some of those guys have nuclear weapons. I'm not going to tell you that. It's just too scary. But that's what they're fighting over there, and that's the question this morning that we need to ask. Who owns the vineyard? Who owns the vineyard? When Jesus told this parable, the Pharisees would have been very aware of Isaiah chapter 5. That's just one of the places in the prophets where they talk about the vineyard, but it's so clear here. I wanted to share Isaiah chapter 5, verse 1. This is the prophet Isaiah. I will sing for the one I love a song about his vineyard. My loved one had a vineyard in a fertile hillside. He dug it up and cleared it of stones and planted it with choicest vines. He built a watchtower in it and cut out the winepress as well. Then he looked for a crop of good grapes, but it only yielded bad fruit. And then down in verse 7, Isaiah 5, verse 7, the vineyard of the Lord Almighty is the nation of Israel. And the people of Judah are the vines he delighted in. He looked for justice, but only saw bloodshed. Righteousness, but only cries of distress. When Jesus told this parable about the tenants and the vineyard, the Pharisees and the religious leaders knew, it says down there, they knew Jesus was talking about them. And as we start off this morning, I want to share with you that this passage is 2,000 years old. But Jesus, through the Spirit, is speaking to you today, right now, fresh. The vineyard is the Lord's. Who owns that vineyard? Jesus, John chapter 15, brings this up to date. John chapter 15, very familiar. I am the true vine. My Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, and every branch that does bear fruit will be pruned so it'll be more fruitful. You're already clean because of the word I've spoken to you. Remain in me, and I will remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Verse 5, I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me, you will bear much fruit.